Every once in a while, we want something just a little bit spicy, a bit unique, you know, something different. No longer do we want a 240SX gels, get out of here. We want a Gloria, a VIP 4-door saloon to drip because we're different. Sometimes we don't want chicken tendies, we want the fancy buffalo chicken wrap, which is still kind of basic, but we'll get over it. And every once in a while, we don't want to do like a basic ass pure on old school RuneScape. We want to build out like a piety pure and wreck some children in Edgeville with Derox or Derox or D-Rox. There's a lot of arguments in terms of how to pronunciate things, so much so that RuneScape actually made a thing to explain it, but it's besides the point. It's an age-old argument. Drop what you think it should be below. Anyway, either way, whatever it is you want to segue into, sometimes people just like to be a bit different. So what happens when you get a car manufacturer that treats their car production like you would treat a new dorm room in the first time you've ever been to college? Well, welcome to the early 90s or 80s, depending on where we start the story. I'm Alex at FI on Instagram, and today we're going to be talking about an odd idea that actually made it to fruition. A car that looks dope as hell on Tesla wheels, and it's a car that everybody thinks about buying, and you read the reviews and then you're like, maybe not. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about just what happened to the Subaru SVX. And if you haven't yet, let us know what you think about the Subaru SVX before we even get into it below. And if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, suspension, be sure to hit us up over at fitmentindustries.com. I know that you're watching this and you're like, oh, there's still snow on the ground, I still got time. And then the next thing you know, it's gonna be car show season and you're not gonna have any of your done. And then you're gonna look at us wishing that we had something in stock, but we don't have it anymore because everybody else already bought their stuff and you didn't buy your stuff, and things come from Japan and they take 10 months to get. Don't blame me. The Subaru SVX is a bit of an odd duck, starting with the full name, which is Alcyone, which is German for a tree's roots, actually. If you didn't know that, there's a fun fact for you. That's actually not true. That's not even true at all, okay? But I sounded confident, and now you gotta think about if the next thing I say is actually true or not. It actually referred to the brightest star of a constellation. This one. I'm not even gonna try saying it. Stylized in the new Subaru company logo. Anyway, the actual SVX just stands for Subaru Vehicle X and was truly a Subaru's take on the luxury and performance market segment, but with a very odd twist. You see, back in the 80s and 90s, Subaru had a little bit of extra money going on with it. It had a couple bit of daddy's dollars in the back pocket, and that person that was giving them the daddy's dunks was called Fuji Heavy Industries, and that was seriously pushing its weight in terms of manufacturing success since its upbringing back in 1953. And for those that don't know Fuji, they've always been a big player since 1953. It's been a technological leader in general motor engineering and design. And while it was focused on the Subaru rebrand, it saw enough revenue from its winnings to kind of double down, to put a little bit on the double green. They just wanted to see if it would be fun to try something different and unique. They wanted to gamble a little, if you will, and just see, just maybe, if the 90s JDM international craze was worth jumping into with something a little bit different, something that you might say has fancy windows. So when Giorgetto Giugiaro. When George picked up the pen to make the most beautiful masterpiece of a Subaru that's ever been made, he made a really pretty one. Okay, he made a great looking car. Now, this is really important because good old Georgie was a pretty big deal. He was car designer of the century. He designed camera bodies for Nikon. The actual design of the Nikon body, he designed that. You like Nikon? Exactly. The organ at the Cathedral of Lausanne. There's so many times I'm gonna get this wrong. I mean, the dude smells of style, and he was properly good at designing. And honestly, if you like a design that features some sort of sloped rear end with a hard cut undertail, it was probably designed by this dude from like the 50s all the way up to the 2000s. And he has a laundry list of cars that he's helped design, which we will put right behind me right now. The car would feature his iconic styling of the window within another windowception, and this was the thing that really set the SVX apart from a design element. The design, though, even with its uniqueness, would carry some of the same similarities to the Lamborghini Countach, the DeLorean, and even the McLaren F1, because you guessed it, good old G-Dog was also somebody that helped design those cars as well. And everything was on the up and up until we got to the rest of the car, because I mean, really, when you look at just the car without knowing anything within it, it's pretty decent looking. It looks sharp. It's probably one of the most underdog, like good-looking Subarus out there. Now look at the headlights. They're square, they're small, they're similar to the 240SX, they're sharp. Pushed forward hood that gave it like a nice aggressive look. It kind of gave it that look that actually made you feel like it could go fast. Now the bumper was looking like it was gonna eat a small child. It had multiple vents and protrusions. It was super sick. It made it kind of look like the bottom was fighting off a demon. The top half was looking like a Cadillac. The flare rear fenders gave it a nice widened stance, and they had taillights. The taillights pushed up the side of the rear fender, giving it an elongated look. It was like the French goddamn kiss of a car design. It was good. You put that next to a Subaru WRX, I'm gonna be honest, I really do like the SVX a little bit more. Dual tailpipes, two of them, they had two tailpipes on a 3.3 liter. I mean, the windows on windows thing. By all definitions, the man that designed this thing was the same guy that designed Ferraris we all love, and it should have been golden. It should have done well. It should have been multiple generations. So why? Just why did it come and go faster than a high school fling at a bonfire after half a bottle of UV blue? Why did it just not seem to ever really kick the can far enough down the road? Just what exactly happened to the Subaru SVX? That's a really good question. It really doesn't make any sense, but why don't you come along and we're gonna talk about just what risks you're about to take if you decide to own this little beautiful fish bowl of a car. A 4-year stint isn't too long to worry to give it like too many praises, okay? And really the initial sticker shock of the car is what pulled a lot of people away from actually owning the car way back in the day. It was $10,000 more than the next Subaru, which really didn't help much when Subaru wasn't really known for being a high scale, high cost car. And on top of the price, the car's coming from like Nissan with the 300ZX, Acura with the NSX, you had Mazda with the RX-70, and Mitsubishi with the 3000 GT, you had Toyota with the Supra, and they had way more tech, power, and capabilities that Subaru really just didn't keep score. Like, it was focused on an entirely different thing, and yet it got compared in the market. So sure, we just said it was a luxury coupe thing, but putting two doors next to two doors, the competition wasn't exactly easy, and a lot of people in the good old States with the US variant saw that. And in addition, the car had issues that followed along pretty much everywhere it went, like wheel bearings, transmission failure. People blamed it on the weight of the car, but really, it was really fancy engineering and design. It really put the SVX in a weird position, and Subaru just decided to kind of put it there and just see what would happen. Put it on double green, got red. Look at its price and what you got too. I mean, the car is cool. It came with a naturally aspirated 3.3 liter, which can be enduring to love nowadays, but back in the day, it was about 60 to 70 horsepower underneath the common competition, and it was a pricey It was an expensive car, and when putting numbers to paper against a sports car, the fact that it didn't even come in a manual at the time really didn't help it much either. What was it competing against? The answer was nothing, but it was, and it lost. The car would do roughly enough in terms of getting people to buy them at dealerships, but dealerships were putting out everything they possibly could to get these cars out of their showroom. They were doing things like giving away watches, and if you took a test drive, you get a watch for free. I mean, these guys were trying everything to get them out the door, which actually sounds kind of fancy, but still, it wasn't enough. And an automotive enthusiast, for people like you and people like me, it didn't really age like fine wine for a good long time. It aged like the early 2000s Autoflex body kits. It just kind of looked funky for a really long time. I would argue up until people just decided that if you bag and put different wheels on anything, it'll look good enough. It really didn't scale enough to a large enough audience to be loved for Subaru to continue the production. And when it was looking at the blow up of World Rally Championships and the WRX at the time, really just any other Subaru at the time, it made the big Fuji ask the question on if it was even worth continuing with the backing of the dollar bill to Subaru. And the answer was, it really wasn't. And even Subaru knew that, and even Fuji knew that, and everybody knew that, so when it died, everybody was like, huh. But this is where it gets all weird, because you've probably seen the badass SVX bagged on Tesla wheels, I think it is, and it looks great. The car nowadays is drawing a ton of attention and love from the community, and with a now affordable price tag, if you can even find one, people are starting to pick them up again for their quirkiness and the love of like the feeling and defleeting pain of having transmission issues from a Subaru, and the fact that there's no replacement parts, which you'll get over because you're supposed to get over it because you now own the car. But it does look good, and there's people over in Japan that are modifying them and tucking the engine bays and slamming it on its nuts on BBS wheels, and it looks great. You just got to get past the car actually functioning like a car sometimes. The SVX could have been a hit. It was like on the cusp of Lexus having a massive breakout with the LS400 that it probably would have competed with and done well against. It was a few years shorter than the NSX entering the world and showing everyone that a Honda badge could humble just about everyone really quick. It was just a few years short of Japan Japan showing the United States how to make the Jarvis of cars, which was the technological thing that was just blowing up in the 90s. And the SVX was also on the Japanese economy bubble, which didn't really help it as well. Everything about it was just a little bit too much, a little bit too early, and it was a little bit too expensive. Its spiked price and lack of understanding the real benefit of purchase left it all by itself on an island, and now there's just a multitude of car enthusiasts trying to build off-meta builds because it's really interesting, and one of the cars that makes the cut in that is the Subaru SVX, and it's finally starting to shine. Just not literally, because it's still Subaru paint a little bit, but hey, you can get it resprayed and it looks awesome, all right? And if you do have a modified SVX, just add it to the gallery so we can see what it looks like, especially if it's on aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension. Let us know what you think about the Subaru SVX and why you think it went away, and of course, drop a comment below on what you'd like to see us talk about next. If you guys are wondering how to get your stuff faster because you're looking to get wheels and tires as soon as humanly possible, take a look. There's like a little blue icon on the website now. Get your wheels and tires in 10 days or less. Let us know what you'd like us to touch on next, and of course, we will see you later. Peace.